All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our SEAC meeting for Monday, May 11th, 2026. I just wanted to start by saying we're kind of working on a new format this evening. We have some people joining from home online. We have some people in the building here, and we're anticipating a few bumps along the way. So if anyone can't hear anything or there's any difficulties whatsoever, please feel free to speak up and we'll try to work through it together. All right. Sorry. Okay. Perfect. And we do have quorum now. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. So welcome everyone. We'll start off this evening with our land acknowledgement of traditional territory. And this evening that will be read by Principal Francis.
Simcoe County District School Board acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people. Earlier today, Principal Maxwell and I had a presentation from our Indigenous Education Department, and we really connected that to our work in special education. The message of the two-row wampum, which is moving forward side by side, honoring differences while maintaining mutual respect, mirrors that core purpose of inclusive education. Our role is to walk alongside students and families with respect, ensuring their dignity and strengths are upheld. That concept of the eighth fire and the commitment that every child matters resonates deeply within our mandate for SEAC. And as we gather here on SEAC, I think again about the deep commitment of everybody here tonight to seeing every child as capable, as valued, and as an integral part of the community.
Great. Thank you very much. All right, so next up on our agenda, we have our SEAC Statement of Beliefs, and tonight we have Kristen Bowman reading that for us.
Thank you. Based on our belief in respect, leadership, integrity, collaboration, compassion, student-driven services, and the rights of all students to be included, we advocate that all students have equitable opportunity to learn and participate in inclusive school communities. They're supported in developing and maintaining relationships and participating in freely chosen activities and groups that result in a sense of belonging. Students' unique learning styles are recognized and planned for in a caring and sensitive manner, enabling them to learn and participate with dignity and respect. Students' strengths and special education needs are identified and responded to early, as this is paramount to their growth and development. Based on best practices and research, the SCDSB will adopt proactive, innovative practices to promote individual student capacities and gifts while addressing their special education needs. Education services are delivered using a collaborative and flexible process centered on the strengths and needs of the students, inclusive of family, school, and community, and based on the best learning outcomes for the student. The student's voice is key in all decisions made on behalf of and with the student.
Great. Thank you very much, Kristen. Okay, so we do have some guests joining us this evening. So welcome to our guests. So we have Clovis Grant and Esther Guza Saubona. So welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. We also have regrets this evening from Shira Perry, Mitch Berry, Annette Cole, and Andrea Trafford. Okay, so at this time, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as printed. Do I have a mover for that? Kevin, do I have a second? Thank you. Tamara, thank you very much. Sorry, give me a moment. I'm trying to look in the real room and on the screen. It's overwhelming. I got this. Okay, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. All right. So next up, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting. So Kevin Berry for that. Do I have a second for that motion? Jody or Trustee Lloyd, thank you very much. Any questions or comments on the previous minutes? Okay, not seeing any at this time, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much. All right, do we have any declaration of conflict of interest this evening? Not seeing any. I forgot, Kevin, I can see you on the screen too, right? I don't have to look over there. I'll figure this out, folks. I will. I'll figure it out. All right. So that takes us to presentations and delegations. So we have SEAC A7A, Saubona Afrocentric Circle of Support with Clovis Grant and Esther Guza. And I'm sorry, we'll be introducing. I go first.
Yes, thank you for joining us this evening, Clovis and Esther. And whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate coming. It's been a number of years since I've been on SEAC. For reference, I was on SEAC for 10 years, believe it or not, with the Toronto District School Board. My son has autism. I'll explain a little bit more about that. I chaired SEAC for a year, maybe two, I can't remember now. But yeah, it's been at least 9 years since I've been back to SEAC. So looking forward to having our chat. I will share my screen. If I could only find the share button. Yeah. Oh, that's all right. Let's go from the beginning. All right. So that's me, Clovis. I'm the co-founder and current board chair for Salbona Afrocentric Circle of Support, and I'm joined by Esther. I'll get Esther to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Esther Gusha, and the Community Engagement Coordinator for Salbona, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
All right. There we go. You've done the land acknowledgement. I will just share briefly our Black ancestral acknowledgement. We take this moment to honor those who have resisted and were left at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, those who resisted on the plantation and fought for our freedom from the shackles of enslavement, and those who fought to emancipate them from the shackles of colonial rule. We honor those who've led lives of service and stood up for social, political, and economic justice, and those who have confronted and dismantled oppressive practices, challenged institutions, and built affirming and equitable examples to inspire us all. It was you all, our ancestors, who have sacrificed so that we may be here. You, our ancestors, stood up against dehumanization, economic exploitation, gender discrimination and violence, religious bigotry, and other oppressive forces. It was you, our ancestors, who fearlessly confronted and denounced one of the worst forms of oppression, anti-Black African racism. We stand on your sturdy and courageous shoulders, and for that, we thank you. And this is important in terms of the work that we do. It's really acknowledging the impact of anti-Black racism on the Black community, especially as we talk about SEAC. My day job is I run a youth organization on homelessness, and we see the impact of oppression, whether Indigenous, anti-Black racism showing up there. So as we think about the work that we all do collectively to support young people, it's important to not ignore the importance and impact of this issue of anti-Black racism, which really is at the heart of the work that we do. And that's what Esther and I will be sharing with you this evening. Just for context, Salbona, it's interesting. My wife and I started this 5 years ago, and it really the name came out of a greeting that one of our parents shared with us in an email, just saying Salbona, and we really didn't know what that meant. And she explained that Salbona is a Zulu word, really meaning hello, good day, but in a deeper way, meaning I see you. And it was so appropriate that as we thought about the name for the organization, it made a lot of sense to us to go with that title. And because really the work is about helping people who feel unseen to feel seen. And I really appreciate you sharing at the beginning there the principles for the SEAC, because dignity. I heard words about belonging. All of that is such a critical piece of the work that we do at Salbona to help provide that support for Black caregivers. And we use the word broadly because it's not just parents. supporting any the age of any person with a disability, focus mostly on developmental disability, whether autism, Down syndrome, learning disability. We have about 250 members from across the country, mostly in Ontario, the Greater Toronto Area, including Simcoe County, and even as far as the Caribbean and Africa, UK. And again, because it's a space where there aren't many organizations that are doing that intersection between race and disability, which I will get to shortly. But our mission is as noted there, is to offer support and to build the capacity of the Black caregivers, which I know that you serve and support Black caregivers here who are supporting their family member. Our vision is that every Black caregiver of a family member with a disability to feel that sense of belonging, which really is strong alignment with the principle that you spoke about. So that's me in my non-white hair days, and my wife, who is really the founder. She went to a lot of the support groups in the beginning and really had it on her heart when we got to a point in our journey to be able to offer more support to other caregivers. And really, in short, she felt like a lot of the spaces that she was attending to um, for support just were not very culturally inclusive. And she just felt very alone. There were very few faces like ours in spaces. The examples that were highlighted or shown on the screens were not very culturally relevant. And she said she wanted to make sure that spaces, resources were much more accessible to people. Our son has autism. He is now approaching 30, hence my 9 years not being on SEAC. And he's doing great. We are doing our best to support him, and we want to take our learning to help other families to be engaged, to not allow the challenges of the double challenges of the disability and the racism truly impact them from getting the supports and services that they need. I flagged a little bit about intersectionality because I think the Black caregivers are in this strange place because there are a lot of organizations, Black organizations that focus on anti-Black racism. And then there are a number of organizations, mainstream organizations that deal with disability. But we don't have many that do Black and disability. And that's where the interest from across the country and across our borders came from, because the dual oppression that many of our families experience often, unfortunately, lead them to giving up and feeling frustrated. And we hear that so much in our group, and Esther could speak more as a facilitator for many of our groups about that. I'm tired. I just work so hard just to get connected to supports. I'm not getting the resources, and the frustrations of having to struggle from just being Black, and the struggle of just having a child with special needs. And so it really, I guess, I appreciate the invite, Greg and Matthew, for the opportunity to talk about this work, because we don't lead single issue lives, as Audre Lorde talks about, but our lives are very interconnected, and to ignore the struggle for on both ends is a false assumption that's made, that racism doesn't impact those of our kids, those of us who are dealing with children with special needs. And really important in our work is that we work with the caregivers, and our mission, our our vision statement, all of that was actually came as a result of input and feedback from our families. And I'll get Esther now to just speak more about some of the work that we do.
Thank you, Clovis. And in our African culture, and also not just African, but it's a reality in most cultures that it takes a whole village to raise a child. If you rely on your neighbor at one point to say, hey, can you look at my child? That's in a way raising that child. And so we focus on which I look at as our motto. They empower, educate, enlighten. And this is focused on the caregiver, right? Because that's who we support. And we do the support, all the support, we strive to do it in a safe place, using a cultural lens, focus on the Black, and so that even our speakers, like you see here, they are reflexive. We might have those who are not Black as speakers, right? Because knowledge, the enlightenment, the education comes from all sources, but the topics are reflexive, if not the guest speaker, because we encourage the participants, which are who are the caregivers, to say what they want to know, what they want to learn, and also, like, from hearing from what they say, also find speakers who can educate and add to what we have. And also we focus on the caregiver, and the caregiver has their own knowledge. It's not like when we say we empower, they are not empowered. They are empowered in their own way, so that we encourage now the peer mentoring, giving each other courage. We connect them, those who say, okay, through our sessions, which are virtual, 2 in the evening per month and 1 daytime. So you realize that as caregivers share or whatever topic comes up, there are some who connect, oh, this caregiver, here's the information that I need. So we connect them. And that way, they mentor each other. They support each other during that time when they are not in groups, when they are not in other organizations, because as an organization, we also work with other organizations which don't necessarily work with just caregivers, but they have what the caregivers need. So we connect them, and we also help with service navigation, and that I do mostly because I'm the community engagement person, but also a navigator for resources which the caregiver might need. And we also give them the opportunity to have a voice, like through the mentoring, the empowering, the educating, giving them back, enlightening them back to their power that they have, that you are strong, you are doing this. What can you share with others and stuff, and encourage them, whatever is happening, for them to participate, like in the SEAC. We have caregivers who are involved as well. And we have, as an organization, the Sawubona, we facilitate workshops. We are invited, and sometimes we initiate workshops to educate in other agencies as to what we do, and encourage them to, okay, there are people who are lonely out there. They need that support. So they can either refer them to us, and then we refer, because we know that like it says, it takes a whole village to raise a child. So it's not us we have everything. So we also rely on other agencies. And we produced a handbook which can be used as well as a resource, the toolkits which are taken from that handbook. And it's educational. it can be used by the caregivers, even agencies, to help others because it talks about like mental health, self-care, and how to maneuver even in the communities, how to talk about other things, and also helps the caregivers like to look into themselves because they might be caregivers. Yes, they have a loved one with a disability, but they have other ways of looking at things, right? So to look into themselves, okay, how do you see this? How do you embrace this? Do you embrace other, we talk of other, maybe other disabilities, right? And also to open up. As much we now we talk of this racism, what does that mean to them? How can they work around that even when there is no one to we empower them like that way? And also all that information is in the caregiver, we said caregiver essentials, the handbook, and is we translated it into French. So we have a French and an English. Hopefully, we have other languages which are spoken by the caregivers. And our website it's rich, if I can say it's rich with resources which reflect onto like what the caregivers need, right? And so it's a continuous build up, researching what else is needed, who else has information which caregivers might need. And the focus, we don't lose that focus of cultural lens so that the caregivers understand. And when they even go to the resources, they can go to the, okay, Black doctors. Okay, if I can have a Black doctor, right? A doctor who's not a Black doctor, a doctor who is Black. So it's easier because it's the assumption that, oh, they might be the best because they look like me, they might understand. If that helps them, then they can get the healthcare professionals who are Black. But also, as health professionals, health has no color, right? So all the resources are there on the website. I don't know, Clovis, can you add if I've left anything?
No, all good. I think some of the other slides will complement that.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip that. Just this gives you a sense of some of the activities. That's our local MP. Some external, like we did for a little while, some socials in person. This would be our Christmas holiday event, our summer picnic. This is Mental Health Week, a taboo, and again, some socials, ways of bringing the caregivers together. And as Esther was sharing, our focus, we look to empower, educate, and enlighten the caregivers. We have intentionally not looked to providing services to the kids or the individuals with disability because we feel like the missing link has been the caregivers, and there aren't a lot of caregiver support. It's great that caregiver parents for Partners for Planning, Canadian Center for Caregiving Excellence is now really ramping up around the importance of caregivers. But for a long time, the work of caregivers was not there, and so our work is around how do we support caregivers? How do we ensure that they know what SEAC is, what supports are available to them? How do they connect with the schools? How do they connect with the services out there? And how do we help the agencies understand some of the layer that these families are bringing? That's a big part of the work that we do. That's a big part of what Esther does. This is the handbook that was referenced. And it's available online on our website, but it really focuses on how caregivers can take care of themselves because they can't be really helpful to their young person if they are not healthy, broadly speaking. And so we've done a lot in 5 years from the presentations. And again, we appreciate the opportunity to speak to all of you. We have representation on Toronto District, the Durham District, and the Peel District School Board as SEAC reps. We've provided support to MCCSS, Canada Disability Act, and you see a bunch of places there, including Down syndrome, Down, Canada's Black Caregivers, amazing vignette that highlights across the country an individual, Moses, who saw that what we were doing, highlighted some of our work, and leveraged it to also hear the voices of Black caregivers across the country. And it's wonderful if you've not had a chance to see it. We're grateful for the support of OTF, which had supported us in our early years. We're getting support from MCCSS for our work, supporting Black communities, and the list goes on. Community Living Ontario, Community Living Toronto have been great. I represented Community Living Toronto as part of SEAC because they were also wonderful with our son. And, bragging, yes, our work has had some impact and we're grateful for that. That's not why we do what we do. Sorry. But we've been recognized in our work and we're grateful for it, whether the caregiving, the Empowered Kids Ontario for some of the work we've done and doing with the children's treatment hubs. We appreciate the recognition. We're doing a lot of different things to help our Black families understand the wonderful resources in this great country, great province that we have, but for so many reasons that mentioned about earlier, they're not accessing those. And so through our work, through the support that we offer to them, the peer support that's mentioned, access to those presentations where they learn about things that are out there, supporting their kids for the future, not thinking about it when they're 16, but thinking about it when they're 12, thinking about it when they're 8. So bringing together that community where the frustration about the challenges that they're experiencing, but bringing them together for mutual support. We don't know everything, but there are lots out there. But too often, these families are not being engaged. And unless somebody is willing to go and find them and support them, they remain disengaged. And that's what Salbono is. And that's what we want to do. We want them to connect. We want them to be well. We want their kids to be well. And I think that meets all of our expectations and needs. So in terms of our conclusion, and I could have spoken a lot, but I'm just going to cut it here. But just if you have Black families who feel like they need some support, that's what we're here for. Whether it be the directory that Esther spoke about, whether it be just somebody to talk to, somebody join them for SEAC. Those are things that Esther would do. And if there's anybody that needs more information, we're happy to provide it. Any opportunities for collaboration, this is a great example of just getting information out there to families. Of course, we're charity, or we're not a charity yet. We're not for profit, so donations, that's not what I'm here to do. But it's just to say, we're here for the caregivers, and that's our contact information. Would love to see if there are any questions that anybody has for Esther or myself. And I'm going to stop sharing. And I went through that fairly quickly, but happy to answer any questions that anyone may have. And by the way, we have done some work, and I sort of brushed over it. Black Fathers Alliance from here in Simcoe County we did a men's event actually in March together, our second annual, as a way to engage the Black men, because well, let's just say that's a group that is also not as engaged. And so working with Daniel and his team, we were able to actually connect with a number of Black fathers, which was wonderful. So it's been successful, and we'll probably try it year 3. So also doing some work with people up in Simcoe County. So I'll pause there.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very informative. In your last little bit there, you answered one of my questions. I was going to ask about what you were physically doing in Simcoe County. I know your meetings were virtual, but I wasn't sure if any of your events were physically available here too. So that's wonderful to hear. That's great. Okay, do we have any questions from our committee members? Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm really glad you presented tonight. When I heard you were on, I looked you up because it's a subject near and dear to my heart. And I saw I was listening to one of your interviews. It was an hour-long presentation with an education group. And it was very informative. I'm a little curious about your structure. Because in Simcoe County, we've had a rather large demographic shift in the last few years. And I think it might be useful to have representatives of the Black community on SEAC, which we have not had in my 15 years here. I mean, depending on your structure, I was wondering whether we would be able to invite or consider you for member or a representative for membership here. That would mean you'd have to have a local chapter. So just what's your what exactly your structure is?
We don't operate using a chapter model at this point. So thank you for the question. But because our parents, our caregivers, do live all over, I know we need to have a representative who attends a Simcoe County school. So it would be for us to reach out to our members to say who lives in Simcoe County, who would be willing, because then that's the other piece. So the residence piece is one piece, but it's also the somebody who's willing to give their time to do this. And right now we have it in those 3 boards, and so. It would be those 2 pieces that we would have to explore. So thank you for the invitation, and certainly we can reach out to see if we have at least 2, because I know there's a need for an alternate as well, to participate.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Yes. So I believe at the end of, towards the end of 2026, that application process for our next term of SEAC will be starting. A new group of SEAC will start in January 2027. So keep those dates in your mind for Simcoe County.
Appreciate that. And where would that info be? Would it be on the Simcoe?
I believe it will be updated closer to that time on our website. I'll defer to Superintendent Jacobs.
Through the chair to the committee, yes, invitation will go out probably in the fall is when we will be doing that.
Okay.
And we'll make sure it gets on our website as well.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, in the meantime, we could start socializing it, and if we find interested parties, we'd love to put that application in. If not, we'll have to wait until we do. So, but thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. Any other questions or comments from the group? Trustee Lloyd, go ahead.
Thank you very much. And through you, thank you very much for your presentation this evening. I'm very glad that you came. My question would be, do you currently work with any of our agencies in Simcoe County, or are you partnered with any of our agencies as of yet, or is that something planned for the future?
It's ongoing, and Esther, feel free, because I think we did something with children's treatment. Maybe you can speak to that, Esther. You're on mute.
Is that the kind of way we did the presentation on self-care? Kana?
Sorry?
The Kana, is it in some? Okay, there's one agency.
Okay.
Yeah, which I'm sure it's Kana, yeah. It's Kana if I just off my head.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but yeah, I think because it's ongoing, right? We are continuously trying to engage to expand, if I can say. We are all over, but expanding is to working with other agencies which are doing the same. I noted that one organization who actually invited to speak, and Sharon did the presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
I did see someone from Catulpa. I know that we did reach out to Catulpa in the past. As I mentioned, we did some work with Adinkra Farm. We actually had our retreat at Adinkra Farms in last May. We worked with Black Fathers Alliance. We did a fair, an outreach fair with Children's Treatment Network, which I believe serves Simcoe as well as York. Those are a few areas, few groups that we have connected with, and there may have been others, but Esther seems to remembered something else.
I remember it's Naka, not Kana.
Oh, Naka.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I was just like misspelling it. Yeah.
Yes, Naka serves
yeah.
York region and a bit of New Simcoe.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I see a hand up from our children, our CTN rep.
Yes.
Kristen, go ahead.
I was just going to jump in. So thank you for joining us. My name is Kristen and I am the rep from Children's Treatment Network.
Oh.
And I just wanted to say that, yes, I think we have partnered in the past and some work with Catalpa as well. So I was only going to jump in to say, yep, we have, which is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kelly, go ahead.
Sorry, did you call me? I didn't hear you.
Yes. Sorry, Kelly,
Okay.
go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, Randy. So hi, my name is Kelly and I'm from Empower Simcoe. And I am the Child and Family Services supervisor. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Empower Simcoe. So Empower Simcoe supports mainly a lot of our agencies supports people, adults with intellectual disabilities. The family support that I supervise is we have family support workers that support families who have children who may have like an intellectual disability. And then we are partnership with the Children's Treatment Network with our coordinated service planners who support families with different types of disabilities. So Empower Simcoe is the intellectual piece, but we also have that other department. So I guess my question is like kind of looking to see how you guys could be very helpful for us and our workers who are supporting families, Black families. And so kind of maybe reaching out to see if there's some kind of support there. And I know you went over a list of like what you do, but just to clarify, do you guys have like a family support group? So like families can support with one another, other Black families too as well?
Yes, in a nutshell, that's what Esther spoke about, the three different groups. So we have the second and fourth Tuesday of every month is a virtual support group, except through the summer. And then Esther also runs a daytime group for those who are more available during the day. And so those are standard throughout, and it's a virtual space. People come and connect how and when they would like. We have different topics. For instance, tomorrow we are actually talking about, we have a lawyer speaking about supportive decision making. They spoke 2 weeks ago on estate planning and thinking about, wills, and we did the Safe and Secure book, if you're familiar with it. We did they did a relaunch of it in December, and so we had a Saturday workshop that was actually in person. So we do most of the work we do actually is virtual, but we do some in-person connections as well. So, and it is a space only for Black caregivers. So it is if it's a what's the word, family, biracial family, we ask that the Black family member, the Black caregiver, if let's say my wife is of a different race, it would be me attending the group, because we want that space to be focused on the Black experience, and so that's so that the group is really supporting the specific needs that Black families might have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We actually have a team meeting coming up, so I am definitely going to share your presentation with them. I think it would be great to connect any of the families that they're supporting, the Black families, to provide this so that they have other support that is for specifically Black families. So thank you.
Yeah, Kelly, that's a good point. I didn't emphasize enough that we're not here to replace by any means. What Kelly says is actually very appropriate, that we want them to be more engaged, and if we can help them to feel less isolated and connected, big win. Because we know that there are a lot of resources out there, but the challenge that we've heard so many times is people don't feel seen, people don't feel believed, people don't feel supported. And if we can help them, give them more of that voice where they can get access to the services that are out there, I think that's a big win for all the families. And that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
And if they can just be encouraged to sign up on the website, we will start from there, because it's the website, and also we have a Facebook page, which also has a lot of information, and the connection can be from there. And everything is on the website.
And all free.
And all free.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It looks like lots of great connections possible in Simcoe County, and we'd love to be able to work with you in lots of different ways. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation and for all the fantastic work that you're doing.
Appreciate it.
I don't see any other questions at this time, so we will let you continue on with your evening if you like, but thank you very much for your time and for joining us this evening.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good evening. Bye.
Good night. Okay. All right. So next up on our agenda, we have items for decision. So we have SEAC B1 proposed dates and times for the Special Education Advisory Committee meetings, and that's going to be with Principal Maxwell.
All right, and through the chair to the committee, before you have the report number SCA or SEAC B1 with proposed dates and times for the 2026-2027 Special Education Advisory Committee meeting. So under this, as per Ontario Regulation 464-97, local SEACs are expected to meet a minimum of 10 times during the school year. And in compliance with Ontario Regulation 463-97, SEAC meetings will be held in a hybrid format where members can attend in person or virtually. In March 2026, SEAC members completed a survey to indicate their preferred meeting times for 2026-27 school year. 5 SEAC members indicated a preference for 6 p.m. start time, and 1 voted for 6:30. Given the majority vote, it was decided to proceed with 6 p.m. start time for the 2026-2027 school year. Attached, you will find the proposed dates for next year, again, every second Monday of the month. And the recommendation that we have before us is that SEAC adopt the proposed dates and times as set out in Appendix A of report number SEAC B1, proposed dates and times for the 2026-2027 Special Education Advisory Committee meetings dated May 11th, 2026.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, do we have any questions or comments on the report? Kevin, go ahead.
Did not respond to the original inquiry. My concern is that now that we're changing our format, does that not change the possibility of what people would want? If they have to get in here by 6, can they make it by 6? So should we maybe repoll and then delay this for one meeting? Or does anyone think it'll make any difference?
How about we take an informal poll now?
That would be a good
And
idea.
see where we get with that. I'm guessing from tonight's turnout that many people will still choose to join online. But does anyone, if you had more time, would that change things? Would you want to join in or come in person? Is the meeting time? Does anyone have any feedback on that?
I know with
Right.
Catalpa, I can speak for Andrea and I, that we would probably always join virtually, and 6 o'clock is okay for both of us.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not seeing anyone jump up and say, yes, please change things. So if you're all right with that, Kevin, we'll just kind of go ahead then. Okay. Okay, so sorry, I'll read the recommendation. Because we do have to pass that. Well, I will need a mover and a seconder. So the recommendation as read was that the SEAC adopt the proposed dates and times as set out in Appendix A of report number SEAC B1, proposed dates and times for the 2026-2027 Special Education Advisory Committee meetings dated May 11th, 2026. Do I have a mover for that? Kevin, thank you. And a second? Shamira, thank you very much. And any discussion? Any burning questions still? Nope. Okay. All those in favor? And that carries. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. So moving along, that takes us to items for information. We have no follow-up from previous meetings. So that takes us to staff reports. So SEAC C2A, SEAC consultation 2026-27 special education plan with the returning Principal McCollins.
Thank you. And excuse me, through the chair to the committee. First, I would like to express my gratitude in being back at this table and how thrilled I am to be working with this team of people again. So before you tonight, you have report number SEAC C2A. This is a return of an ongoing process, of course, as we look to receive consultation from the SEAC committee in regards to the special education plan for the 26-27 school year. This is the second time this agenda item has come up this year. The first time would have been in February. I believe it's at the end of February. The original idea was presented with you, in which point the SEAC members were invited to make suggested changes or to make suggestions as to what was currently in the plan. You were to submit those to Lori Wright. So now we're coming back to you because we've taken all of the suggestions from all of the stakeholders and people involved to share with you the second red line item. So this is the second consultation piece of this. If I could just for those of you who might not have had a chance to really have a good look at this yet, I would suggest that there's 3 main items that are of significant change within the document from previous years. That would be on page 8, which is a reference to the change in language regarding modified days, where students would require some sort of adjustment to their regular schedule. The second one would be, of course, page 21 within this new document, where we have provided some clear insight and more direct language around what exactly is a growth plan and how that fits in to the services that are provided and offered to students and families within the board. And then finally would be page 50, which is an updated list of current construction projects that would be impacting special education as well as accessibility initiatives within the board for the upcoming school year. So at this point, what we are asking committee members to do is to have a look at these things. We are asking that if there needs to be further adjustments or some further suggestions, that we will have these please by the end of this week, as we need to move this forward within the board. Lori tomorrow morning is going to share with the committee that same reform that you received in February around how to make suggestions. So that will be out to you by tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And if you are looking to give a contribution or an idea or some feedback to what is in this latest rendition of the special ed plan, then we ask that you please do that by Friday of this week. That allows us the time to move it forward to the internal operations of the board and to the director and so on and so forth. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to take those.
Thank you very much. Trustee Strawn, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Rafiq, and through you, perhaps to Principal McClellan or maybe to Superintendent Jacobs. And I'm just going to start by apologizing. As a new member of SEAC, I am not well versed on the plan. And I will say that I haven't read it in a great amount of detail yet. But I just had like a broad question to help me to read and to provide feedback. Is that this, like our group is providing feedback on, I guess, maybe the broad strokes of how we deliver special education, as opposed to specific programs or services offered in specific schools or for different types of learners. Like, I just want to make sure I understand what our role is and what type of feedback you're asking us for.
I will turn things over to Principal McClellan, but I am just going to say quickly, as a longtime SEAC member, I know feedback that I would give to is sometimes, like we've introduced the inclusion of modified days. That was something we had talked about a lot here at SEAC. I know a few of us had gotten feedback from parents that had a lot of questions, and so that was something that we brought forward and asking to be included. Sometimes we just see things that have changed. From year to year, things change in society, things change in our community, the way that they're happening. And maybe we just note some things like that sometimes, but I'm sure Principal McClellan will have some further feedback for you.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to the committee. So I will say it's important to recognize that this is a public document. So this does reside on our public board website. And so there is an idea, the fact that we first and foremost really do want to make this document accessible to members of the board, but also to members of our community, members, employee groups, to everybody, right? Like, so we really try to make sure that our language is such that it doesn't get filled with a bunch of edgebabble that really confuses the situation. The second piece I think that is really important to remember when viewing this document is that we do want to try and articulate all of the offerings the board does have. However, we do not within this document really sort of identify that this program is offered at this school location. And so it's broader strokes in the way of saying, yes, these are the services that are available, but then we're also careful to not pinpoint a particular service to a specific destination within the board, because the needs of any building can change on a dime, and we need to be able to move our program's availability around dependent on the other needs and draws that the boards may have beyond special education. With that, I'm hoping that helps.
Yes, thank you. It's very helpful.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have any other questions or comments? Principal McClellan, do you want any feedback now if we have it, or would you just prefer that we email you?
Always been ready.
Okay, because I'm watching our time. Obviously, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I won't make us go over tonight, I promise. But if anyone has anything that they would like to share with Principal McClellan right now, he's ready. He's got a pen. I can see it. I know one thing that I had discussed with Superintendent Jacobs, and I give the feedback already, was that the section around when we're talking about deaf and hard of hearing, just from my background, I know the way that we write the word deaf has a big meaning to the deaf community, those who are living culturally deaf, using sign language and living culturally deaf. How that is written is very important in the community. And so I've just asked if we can reach out to maybe Deaf Access Simcoe and make sure we're representing that properly, because right now it's just represented with a small d deaf, and I believe it should be small d and big D deaf in there. So I was just hoping for some feedback from our partners there. And then also I had said under the chart, sorry, on page 72, where it lists American Sign Language English interpreters, under staff qualifications, we don't have anything. So I'm sure we have qualifications that our interpreters have to have. So if we could just include that there as well. And I think those were all my questions, my feedback that I had right now. I have read it many times, Lynn. It's a great read. You'll enjoy it. I've suggested a book club over the years, but I don't know why that idea has never taken off. All right. I'm not seeing any hands jumping up right now at this time. Oh, sorry, Kristen. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
It's okay. You were looking down when I raised my hand. If we see other things that we think we should be changing, then we're just sending that through to Lori. Is that what I heard? Is that fair? Okay. I just noticed one thing with the ministry's name and stuff like that. So there's just like little things, nothing worthy of a discussion. I will send them through.
That's perfect. Yes. Anyone, anything you had, please just send to Lori. And yes, exactly. Right. Like little wording things that change, and, titles that change over from year to year. I think that's all the things we're hoping for too, right? To be able to catch. So thank you for that, Kristen. Sarah, please go ahead.
Similar to Kristen, I have some feedback around some terminology and things like that. So I'll wait for the link for that form to come through and I can pass that on. Just like working in the early intervention sector, there's a few pieces around like parent consent and acknowledging that services are voluntary in a majority of cases that I think should be included. But one thing that I wanted to raise for just in this forum is, upon reviewing the section around modified day, one thing that stood out for me would be the potential of adding in specifically acknowledgement of barriers to the caregiver or barriers to the family around certain scheduling components with modified days. So I know, like, towards the beginning on page 8 of the plan, which is 42 of our package, it's acknowledging a review of policies and procedures pertaining to modified days. So it might be encapsulated in there and some of the details with policies and procedures for how the family situation and potential barriers and the components that they may be facing in order to accommodate that modified day. So maybe it's acknowledged in there. If it isn't, just wondering if that could be added in somehow to highlight that piece of the family experience, and maybe acknowledge where there would be a formalized opportunity to revisit that modified day and that schedule and plan for next steps with a timeline. So if those pieces are in a policy or procedure, that's wonderful. Knowing that this is a public document, as was acknowledged earlier, maybe a bit of duplication around those components in alignment with the policy and procedure would be beneficial.
Thank you. Superintendent Jacobs, please go ahead.
And through the chair to Sarah. So one of the things that we've been working on, Principal McClellan and former superintendent, it seems like we're bringing back a lot of people from the past, but they've been invaluable. So we're working on aligning the language that you see in the special education plan with the actual policy and APM specific to modified day. And on page 8, it does indicate making sure to seek feedback from parents and guardians to review other pertinent information. So that will also be reflected in the policy and or APM.
Thank you very much. And we do have the parents' guide to special education as well, which is kind of like a condensed version. So I think that's an important piece, right? Making sure that that part's in there. So that I think that would be an important part to make sure we've got listed in the parents guide as well. Making sure that people know that they have options and that they are very much part of this discussion, and that, you know, everyone's life situation is different, as like you were suggesting there, Sarah, everyone's life is different, and these modified days can be very difficult for families. And so making sure that we're communicating with them as that's happening. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments? Kevin, go ahead.
Just one on the classes, the specialized classes. I know we never liked the names that they had before, but at least the names meant something. I agree that maybe we had to change the names. But I'm having a very difficult time trying to explain to people what an S6 is. Right? We've gone from names that were maybe not completely accurate to names that mean nothing. There's enough going on with these parents' lives, with the lingo we throw out without also adding numbers and letters on top of the confusion. I'm not sure it's a deal breaker, but we really might want to think about a more human way of communicating with our families.
Principal Francis, go ahead.
And through you, Chair, to the committee. Thank you, Kevin, for that. I think that really, you know, it is about considering very carefully the language that we use. And I think, as you mentioned, with everything else, there is a process with that where I think it's important to talk about how we translate what that new terminology means and connect that to what had been used in the past. So, you know, in the way that we're sharing this with staff, we think about, you know, almost like a coding activity, that E always stands for elementary, the S always stands for secondary. And those numbers really refer to the number of students that are in the class. And that aligns with ministry exceptionalities. So I understand that then it becomes something that feels like it's meaningless. But I think it's also important that sometimes those classrooms, the names were sometimes very much associated with a particular disability. And that isn't always the case, and also left room for confusion and interpretation. So that's the challenge, and that often, if we can have a conversation, we're happy to do that to help to clarify. And like any kind of change, we know that takes time.
Understood. And if we're going to keep these for the interim, maybe we have an index on our parents' guide saying what our numbers and letters mean. Because right now, they're going to look at it and go, what?
Superintendent Jacobs?
Through the chair to Kevin and the committee. We're doing a lot of pairing. I think it's kind of a transitional thing. I find I'm doing it a lot myself, where I'll say County Class E6, formerly ASD and elementary. So it's going to take a little bit of time. I'm still.
Yes, thank you, Kevin. I think it's worth a discussion for sure. I've had conversations about that as well in schools. I was doing some school visits, and even principals, staff were like, "Oh yeah, what is that one? What is this?" And we're all trying to get our hands around it. Your explanation there helps, Principal Francis, but you know, there is a difference. I completely understand what you're saying. Not only an ASD student may be in an ASD class, but there is a big difference between an ASD class and a social skills class. And I think like Kevin's saying, making sure we're accessible and making sure that parents who are extremely overwhelmed already aren't having to figure out how to get on a website to find out what E6 means is a big piece, right? So whether we're doing that with a name or we're doing that in some other way, making sure that we're not having those extra barriers, I think for parents is really a big deal. I would agree that we don't need, like I said, I feel like every special education parent that I talk to is extremely overwhelmed already, and having to learn something else simple like that could be the wall for somebody. That could be the part where someone says, you know what, I'm done. I can't do one more thing. And I've seen that with families, and I would hate to have that happen. So I just think the way that we do it is really important. Okay. Any other feedback? Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you. I noticed, like, when reviewing this, working in collaboration with early intervention partners that are publicly funded or other providers that are publicly funded is acknowledged. I haven't had a chance to dive deeper into any of the other documents that you guys have referred to or that's referred to in this, but I'm just curious, how does the board work in partnership with private services? So if families have private services and then they're transitioning their child to school, what does that collaboration look like?
Superintendent Jacobs?
Through the chair, to the committee and Sarah. Usually the private reaches out to the schools and we work through the schools on an individual case by case. We don't necessarily reach out to private providers. So we really rely on that connection to be made at the school so that we can collaborate as opposed to publicly funded.
Okay. Just wondering if, like, acknowledging that piece where the collaboration exists, but it looks different, could be valuable in this plan as well as the parent guide.
I see lots of pens writing in the room, Sarah. Excellent. All right. Any further feedback at the moment? Okay, well, we all have our homework, and if anyone has any feedback, so we're going to email directly to Lori. Yes. Okay. So sorry, Lori will send the form tomorrow, and we'll send that back to her with any feedback. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much, everyone, for that great discussion. Okay, so back to our agenda then. That takes us to B, SEAC's C2B, Student Achievement Plan, Public Reporting and Stakeholder Consultation with Superintendent Jacobs.
Through the chair to the committee. On March 12, 2026, the Ministry of Education released an updated, standardized, and pre-populated student achievement plan framework. This updated framework is intended to support school boards in clearly reporting board-level data, identifying priority areas, and outlining action plans related to student achievement. In accordance with the Education Act, all school boards are required to use the Student Achievement Plan public reporting template to publicly report on progress related to provincially established student achievement priorities. This approach ensures transparency and consistency across the province. The purpose of this template is to provide a clear and consistent way for school boards to communicate key data, planned actions, and measured progress to their communities. The template is expected to be published publicly once per year. Feedback gathered from families, students, and community members will be carefully reviewed and reflected in the final student achievement plan that is submitted to the Ministry of Education at the end of the school year. The template includes designated sections that describe how the board currently is performing based on available data and the actions being taken to support continuous improvement in student achievement and well-being. Community engagement is an important component of this process. Anyone wishing to provide input on the Student Achievement Plan is encouraged to submit feedback via email at plan@scdsb.on.ca. To support awareness and participation, the Communications Department has issued a media release and is leveraging the board's social media platforms to maximize exposure and visibility. We would welcome and value any feedback from this committee on the Student Achievement Plan, particularly through the lens of equity, accessibility, and student success. Following this meeting, we will send a follow-up email that includes a direct link to the board's public website where the Student Achievement Plan is posted, along with the email address for submitting feedback. And so thank you for this ongoing partnership and insight, which plays an important role in strengthening our planning and accountability efforts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the link to the website is live on the document that we have there, and the email address and everything. I just clicked on those too. So you can have a look at it at any time and send your feedback in any time as well. Does anyone have any questions or comments at this time? Okay, more homework. Okay. All right. So that takes us to committee reports. So do we have, which we have done, sorry. And then that takes us to SEAC member updates. So do we have any SEAC member updates? Anything that anyone would like to share? Any events coming up or anything like that? Like I said, I always think I'm going to see no one, and then people put up their hands. All right. No.
I could just
Okay.
jump in to share one thing that's coming up this month. I didn't even get it to my hand because I knew that I was going to be too slow. This is Speech and Hearing Month. May is Speech and Hearing Month. And at CTN, we have been busy creating, sorry, I should back up. After a lot of consultation with families, we chatted with them about resources that we could create for families who are involved in speech therapy through our school-based rehab program, but also who are on the waiting list or just curious. So we knew that there was a need for resources for these families. We went into the consultation really expecting to hear that people might be interested in maybe a webinar or a seminar or, they weren't. They were interested in short videos, and that made me feel old. But I get it. This is the generation that we're working with. They're used to quick, scroll through videos. And so we have created a number, like over 20 videos that talk about all of the things that we work on in school-based rehab speech therapy. So it talks about fluency, it talks about getting ready for therapy, it talks about, first interacting with your child. They're really created for families. And so starting this month, they will be available. And so you'll see we will be advertising them on social media. They'll be up on our YouTube channel, and we really will be doing a big push out sort of over the next couple of months to highlight these videos. So I'm just sharing, they're not up yet. It's later this week. But just sharing, we're really excited about this work, and we worked with all of our partners who deliver the service. So it will be therapists and both speech language pathologists and communication disorder assistants that you may be familiar with seeing in your schools, who are the stars of the show. And so we're really excited about this launch.
That sounds great, Kristen. Thank you very much. I will eagerly look for those online. Thank you. All right. Anything else anyone has to share this evening? Okay, not seeing any at this time. So that would take us to board member updates. Trustee Lloyd, please go ahead.
Thank you. Trustee Strong, please join in. I think the biggest accomplishment we've had is at our committee meeting this month, we have at our business meeting, we did pass our budget. Now, the one thing that's really important to note is the technical papers we don't have yet, our staff don't have. And so we have followed the direction of the ministry to budget very conservatively. We are anticipating a slight dip in enrollment for next year, which of course further, our revenues are on a per pupil basis. So when we see a dip, our revenues are going to dip. It's really very much a status quo budget because there has been no significant, to date anywhere, influx or increase in funding. Incredibly disappointing from the special education side of things because there's been an incredible amount of advocacy work across the province from various organizations on the need for increased funding. There was, to date, there's been no announcements with respect to that from the ministry, no announcements of increased or enhanced funding or supports, which is truly unfortunate. So right now, as it sits, our budget is about $778 million. Committee did recommend that a board approve this budget. If and when we normally have the technical papers by now, so we're way behind in this process, but we will have to revise the budget if there's any significant differences when the technical papers are released and staff have the opportunity to review them. But there will be no massive influxes of funds anywhere at this point in time that we're aware of. So that was took a good portion of our May business meeting, and we have a further meeting on Wednesday night for program. And so turn it over to Trustee Strawn if she can think of anything else that I've missed at this point in time, but it's a balanced budget. So that is a major accomplishment right now. So
that is good. And I know that we did discuss this and there were efforts taken to maintain special education staff, even with declining enrollment. So I thought that was positive. But as Trustee Lloyd said, there could always be more resources for special education, and we'll continue to do that advocacy work. Outside of the budget, just we might have another meeting before then, but just a reminder, graduation season is upon us, and we have a lot of different celebrations and events, including our character education awards, an arts day, graduation ceremonies, all taking place. So we're looking to all of you to support students and families in celebrating all of the success that they have had this past school year. And I always love these this time of year and all the celebrations. And thank you for all the work that your organizations do to help us to get everybody across the finish line and feeling good about their year at school.
Great, thank you both. And I will add on to Trustee Lloyd's discussion about the budget. I will add on for Member Barry that the words were spoken that the special education envelope for funding was pierced. And we are spending outside of the special education envelope here in the SCDSB. He's clapping, just so you know. All right. Okay. All right. If that's everything there, so that will take us to our golden buzzer, which we do not have tonight. I'm sure we will have the return at our next meeting of our most favorite sections. Okay, so correspondence, we did have a number of correspondence in the package. We had a letter from Hastings and Prince Edward District School Board, the Waterloo Region District School Board, provincial proposal to regarding their provincial proposal to replace trustees with provincially appointed supervisors, a letter from the Waterloo Region District School Board on support for funding priorities for students with special education and mental health needs, and also from the Waterloo Region District School Board, a letter about special education funding. So as Trustee Lloyd mentioned, there's lots of school boards around the province advocating for increased special education funding. Okay. Excuse me. Do we have any other matters? Kevin, please go ahead.
Just a comment. I haven't brought this up in a few years. I thought I might bring it up because I was just reminded because of the prom. One of the things you'll notice about proms is that only a certain number of students go to them. And they tend to be the people that actually feel they belong to their schools, that enjoy being in their schools, that have a place in their schools. And for 15 years now, I've been trying to advocate that we actually try to track how many people with IEPs actually attend their prom. The actual amount probably means nothing in 1 year. But if we want to track if we're getting better at making our board more inclusive, where all students feel they're part of their school, that they belong, we might want to see whether we actually improve the number of people with IEPs that bother going to their prom, or whether it's decreasing. Just an idea that I throw out every other year for the last decade and a half.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Kevin. Okay. Any other matters? Oh, Trustee Lloyd, please go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm sure some of you are aware of this already, but the Auditor General is set to release a report. I believe it's tomorrow. There's going to be 4 specialty reports there, and one of them is tied to special education. So just wanted to put that out there as people might be interested in. I know with the forms of media we have right now, sometimes it's hard to track some of this stuff and where it's being released and what the, getting good quality information, but they are releasing that report tomorrow, and just wanted to keep it on everybody's radar.
Thank you very much for that. I did well all night, and now I'm looking at my mute sign on there thinking that no one can hear me. It's okay. We made it through, folks. Our first meeting with our new format. We did it. Okay. All right. Do we have any notice of motion for next meeting? Okay. Not seeing any. Oops. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Catherine, please go ahead. Did you have your hand up? No. Okay. All right. Okay. So at this time, I would be looking for a motion to adjourn. Now you can put your hand up, Catherine. How about that? All right. Catherine, seconded by Trustee Lloyd. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Our next meeting will be on June 15th. So we will see you then. Thank you very much.